Hey, this is Russ. I'm back out on the road again. Welcome to the 1000th Russ is Right video. It's kind of hard to believe. Yeah, I've made 1,000 videos already since I started this channel. Yeah, 1,000. That's a lot. Yeah, so what am I riding today? Well, I thought it would be appropriate to ride the Magicycle Cruiser, or as I like to call this one, the Magicycle Cruiser Wannabe Pro. I call it the Wannabe Pro because it wants to be a pro. This bike has been modified from the standard Cruiser. So what do you get with the Pro version? Well, let's talk about that, and we'll talk about other things too. So with the Pro version, you get a 20 amp hour battery instead of the 15 amp hour 52 volt battery. So you get more range out of it. You get hydraulic brakes. Yeah, you get hydraulic brakes. You get a hydraulic front fork. And you get a stronger motor. So I have some of those things, but not all of those things. Magicycle gave me the hydraulic brakes, so I upgraded the bike to add in brakes. And then they also gave me a suspension seat post from Suntour, the Suntour suspension post, so it's on there. I also added a Giddy Up extra large saddle on it. I'll show you all these things a little bit later. And I changed out the chain ring to a 52T chain ring to try to help out some of the ghost pedaling issues that could happen. So yeah, so we've made some modifications to the bike. I'm missing a front basket on here. I stole the front basket off of it to put it on one of my Jaguar Rundies. I thought I had the baskets for every Magicycle bike, but apparently when they gave me the current 48 volt Jaguar Rundy, they sent me two baskets. So I put one on the Ocelot Pro, which I didn't have on there, so I put it on there, and then I put it on that 48 volt Jaguar Rundy. Well, that meant I was still shy by one because we had a new bike. The 48 volt Jaguar Rundy was new, and that added an additional bike, so now I don't have one on this bike. I stole it off of here so I could put it on the Bike to Drive event that we did just on this past Sunday. If you haven't seen that video, definitely go see that one. You're going to want to see that. That's the 999th video. And it's a fairly long one because we ride 30 miles on Lakeshore Drive in Chicago. So you definitely want to see that video. Now, if I remember, I'll try to link it for you. So anyway, being that this is the 1000th video, I felt it was appropriate still to take this bike out, even though the front basket is not sitting on here right now. So which means I don't have my tools with me. I tell you, the tools are pretty heavy because I carry more than just tools in that tool bag. I have my Avis bike lock in there. I've got a lot of tools in there. I've got slime bottle in there. I've got everything in there. Yeah, so I wouldn't doubt that thing's like 12 pounds at least. It weighs like what a battery weighs. So I have the 20 amp hour battery on this one right now. And yeah, I felt it was appropriate to take this bike out. We haven't ridden the Cruiser in a while. You might have thought I sold it off. No, I don't sell off my Magicycle bikes. I told you that. I still have them all. But it was the first bike that was given to me for review. So I think the honor has to go to Magicycle for the 1000th video. Now, all 1,000 videos is not e-bike videos, as you know. The channel started out with no direction at all. I just recorded anything I felt like recording. Just kind of aimlessly putting different videos out. And then I had the knee replacement done. And as we know, when that happened, well, that took 2 years. So I was doing the e-bike. I was doing knee replacement videos for 2 years. And then I bought my e-bike to help rehab my knee. And then the next thing you know, the Russ is Right channel has evolved into an e-bike channel. Kind of weird considering it's a guy that has a knee replacement channel going on. So when we had the knee replacement channel, I'll give you some history here too while we're waiting to cross here. When we had the knee replacement channel, I said that I needed to buy an e-bike to help rehab my knee. And as we all know, Mrs. Wright did not want me to do it. She says, you already have a bike, why do you need another one? But she eventually let me do it, and from that point on, it was e-bikes all the way. So many of you guys ask me why I don't pedal. I do pedal, just not all the time. Sometimes I pedal and throttle at the same time. So I'm kind of doing that right now. I'm throttling and pedaling right now. Well, let's just throttle it. Let's give it some power. Let's move along here. Yeah, we're doing 28 miles an hour now. Yeah, the thing is that when I first started out, even riding 15 miles an hour felt really fast to me. But that's changed over time, as you know. So we're on a shared road here. They're supposed to allow bikes and cars on this road. If you notice, I do take the lane, at least a third of the lane in. I don't ride right up against the curb, because cars will push you up against the curb if you do that. So I force the cars to, if they want to pass me, they have to make a move to the left to pass me. And that's what everyone does. They move a little bit to the left and they make their passing. So anyway, sounded like I was yelling at you. You know, when the wind blows up against you, you really can't hear yourself talking, so you tend to talk louder. That's usually what happens. So yeah, everything came off of this bike. I don't have my typical front headlight that I put on the handlebar. I don't have that. I don't even have a cell phone mount. I don't have a bottle cage. Nothing's on here. So I brought a bottle of water, but I put it on the strap that's on the back of our rack. You know, Magicycles usually come with a bungee cord strap on the back rack. I just strapped it to the back rack with that. We're heading off to the post office right now. I have a piece of mail that has to be mailed out, and you know, people have asked me, why don't you just put it in the mailbox, let the mailman take it? Well, then I wouldn't have a good excuse to go riding. Yeah, gives me something to do. Yeah, I kind of look forward to these post office rides. So yeah, don't take that away from me. I want to take my ride to the post office. So what I do with the mail, I just put it underneath the strap on the rear rack, and then I fold it over and then put it under again, so it's kind of locked in place. There's no way that thing's blowing off. So what do I have on this bike right now? I'm looking here. I have two side view mirrors that were provided to me by Magicycle as well. People always ask me about these mirrors, because I guess you kind of like the way it sticks up a little bit here. Yeah, these are sold by Magicycle. They give you a pair of them. So go to the Magicycle site, use my affiliate link. Go to the Magicycle site and buy some if you're interested in these mirrors. I will say these about these mirrors though. It's nice that they give you left and right, but they're a little narrow. I think if these were a little deeper, like, you know, went down a little bit further, it'd be a little bit nicer. But you know, Magicycle, I'm sure, doesn't make these. They buy them and sell them on their site. But yeah, I think a deeper mirror would be nicer. So, yeah, whatever, you know, it's free from Magicycle to me, so I'm not complaining. I use them. They're on all of my Magicycle bikes. Well, not all. I think one of the Jaguar Rundies has the other branded mirror on it. But, you know, I use them as much as I can, right? I put a handlebar extender on here. I usually put the front light on there. Let's make our turn before we... I've been known to talk and pass this post office up. I don't want to do that again. All right, we're going to go up here. I learned that if I put it through this side, it's actually safer because there's less mail that comes through on this side. Let's see if I can grab this. Just gonna turn my body and grab it. it's so jammed in there, so it's kind of crushed it up a little bit. The water bottle kind of dripped on it too. Well, it'll dry out by the time they pick up the mail. I've been known to pass this up when I've been talking, so make sure we make it. All right, let's go through here. Where should we go today? I think again it would be appropriate to just do our typical ride through the forest preserve. That's how we started. Let's end it that way. Let's go to a 1000th video that way. We'll head back there. That's fine. It's just a talking day today, you know. Like I've always said too, it's not always where we go. It's just the fact that we spend some time together and we talk a little bit. So yeah, and then I of course change out their bell. I have my little El Cheapo bell. I've noticed that the new Jaguar Rundy 48 volt Jaguar Rundy has this bell on it now. Did I influence them? Did their influencer influence them to change their bell out? You know, most of the bells that bikes give you are really cheap bells anyways. Nobody really, okay, Euphree gives us a decent looking bell, but it's not as loud as this bell anyway. But anyway, most of the bells are pretty cheap. They're not that expensive. Maybe they made the decision to switch it out and try to find the one that I always use. I like these bells because they're low profile. I mean, I don't know if you can see it here, but this one's blue. I figured I put a blue one on there because Magicycle has blue in their logo. And yeah, they're cheaply made, but they ring a long time. See? They ring a long time, they're relatively loud, and they're cheap. Yeah. Yeah, I think the cheapest ones I found were like $1.73, but you had to buy like, I don't know how many, 5, 8, I don't know how many you had to buy. It's okay, I have other bikes, so I put them on there. Oh, and also on this bike, I put what do they call those things? It's like a protector underneath the bike where it protects the cables. What do they call it? Scratch plate. Yeah, it's called a scratch plate. They make one for this bike. I don't know if they still sell those, but yeah, that was provided to me by Magicycle as well. They have given me a lot of stuff. I will say that they have been one of the more generous e-bike manufacturers to me, and I've been really happy working with them over this last couple years. I appreciate the other manufacturers too. But Magicycle's given me a lot, as you all know. So yeah, it's been a while since I've ridden this bike. I kind of feel bad if it's not selling as much because there's so many new bikes that they've made that, you know, maybe are more popular now because it's a new version. But yeah, look at the Cruiser. If you haven't considered the Cruiser before, take a look at the Cruiser. It's a big bike. They call it a mid-step bike. Yeah, nobody steps through this thing. It's too hard. It's too hard to step through it. You still swing your leg over the top just like a step-over bike. So maybe that affects it as well. I think in general, step-through bikes do better now. Maybe, I'm thinking. I mean, I'm not with the sales end of things of their stuff, so I don't know really for sure. But I'm thinking that is the case. Let's see, where do I gotta go? Oh, I gotta eventually move over. Is that here? Yeah, it's over here. Okay, I gotta move over here. There's nobody there, so that's good. Makes it easier. But yeah, I think in general, step-through bikes do a better job in selling now. But you know, there's still a lot of us who do like step-over bikes. I initially wanted step-over bikes only. It's what I'm used to, you know. We used to call these boys' bikes or men's bikes, right? The other ones were girls' bikes or women's bikes. But that's not the case anymore. I find myself leaning more towards the step-through design because it's just easier to step your leg through it. So maybe that affects the sales too. I don't know. But yeah, give this one consideration if you're okay with a step-over bike. Morning. I give them the head nod. Yeah, so this is, I was looking at the water that was next to it. There was a, I don't know what that was, a beaver, an otter? I don't know what it was swimming in there. So, yeah, so this bike in general is one of my more favorite bikes, actually, but I haven't ridden it in so long because there's so many other bikes that have come in. It's kind of been pushed to the side, which I feel bad. I'm sorry about that, Magicycle. I haven't ridden it as much as I should be. But as much as people would like to get my Magicycle bikes, like I said, I don't seem to give them up because I really do like them a lot. Good morning. Good morning. But yeah, it's been kind of neglected, and I don't really want to say that it should be. It should be ridden. I keep them because I do like to ride the bikes. I don't, I don't like to just do the review and get rid of them right away. Although a couple bikes I've kind of done that with recently, where I've done the review and then I've sold it off, and which is more common than not with influencers, because they get so much product that they kind of have to get rid of some of the stuff. Otherwise what would they do, right? Yeah, we haven't done a hill test on this in a while. Let's do a hill test on this one. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully there's nobody there. So what we do is we kind of come to a relatively dead stop here. It's about as stopped as you can get. And we throttle up and then we just see where it goes. But again, if there's someone there, we may have to pull out. Oh, there's someone there, but they're on the one side. We should be okay. So this is the standard cruiser. This is not a Pro. 16.1, 14, 13.8, 13.4, 13.4. That's pretty good. 13.4 is very respectable. Yeah, most of the bikes, they struggle to even get to even 12. If you're lucky to even get that, many of them have gone even lower. 13.4 for the standard cruiser. Yeah, the motor had not been changed out. Nothing's been changed out as far as the powertrain is concerned. It's the same as the standard. In fact, this is one of the first original cruisers. All right, this is not the recent stuff. This bike was given to me way back last year. What was it? March or April? I'm thinking something like that. So yeah, it's one of the original cruisers. So yeah, imagine what you can do now with the better products that's coming out nowadays, maybe better motors and stuff. So yeah, it's a good hill climber. 52 volt system. It's got a 20 amp hour battery. The battery's fairly fresh in here. It said 94% on the battery meter. We got a truck up ahead of us. Can we get by him? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't think so. We're gonna turn around. They're doing some type of maintenance up there. We're gonna go around. Yeah, let's just turn around. We can't squeeze through that thing. That thing is blocking up the entire path. So we will turn around. Well, we tried. Well, at least we were able to do a hill test. Yeah. What did I say it was? 15.2, 15.4, 15.4. See, this is the problem. As I'm getting older, I can't remember short-term things. At least I knew it was in the 15. Was it 15 something? 14? What was it? 14 point something, right? Was that what it was? I don't know. Hey, you go back and listen to it, all right? So anyway, yeah, so let's think back about all this 1,000th video business here. It had a lot of different things when we started, and then when it became an e-bike channel, it was basically all e-bike videos from that point on. We have hundreds of e-bike videos. If you are done with the current video, go back and look at some of the old ones. Yeah, kind of hate the fact that, you know, you make a video and then, you know, it maybe runs for about a week and then nobody watches it ever again. No, those are just as good because there's a lot of good information as we're talking. It really is more about the talk than it is about the ride sometimes, because we talk about different things that could affect how you ride and how you deal with your bikes. So yeah, watch some of the older videos. There's a lot of good information in there. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the Bike to Drive event that just happened this past Sunday. I want to give some commentary about that. So I originally was not going to talk on those recordings. I was just going to do a voiceover on it. But then I thought about it. I says, man, you know, it's going to be a long ride. It's like 3 hours or whatever, give or take, close to it. And I said, if I don't talk through it, then I got to go back and edit it all, and then I got to do a voiceover and all that. I said, that's even more work. I said, forget it. Let me just talk over it. The audio recorder battery, I should have probably changed it out when I had the chance. It didn't look like it was going to die out on me, but it did. So I think the last, I don't know, maybe the last half hour, no, last 15, 20 minutes or so of the video uses the GoPro audio on the GoPro itself. I usually use an external audio recorder, as I'm doing right now with a lavalier microphone, and that usually has better audio, a lot of noise rejection. So the GoPro has a lot of noise. Typically you get a lot of there we go. We get a lot of wind noise and stuff. So on my editing software, which is made by Apple, it's the Apple Final Cut Pro, or Final Cut Pro 10, I think it's called. There's an option in there to reduce noise, which is what I do on it. That's why you don't hear the wind as much on the thing. But while it's doing that, it also affects the audio too. So my voice gets kind of crunched up and stuff. It doesn't sound as good, but I figure overall between the two, I kind of figure you probably wouldn't want to hear that constant rumbling of noise, and to give up a little bit of the audio quality is probably worth it to get rid of the noise. So that's what I did. But let's get through here first, and then we'll talk a little bit more in a second here. So anyway, yeah, Mrs. Wright, daughter Wright, and I went off on the ride. People were asking about the other fella. It says, what about her friend? Yeah, that is not her boyfriend, by the way. It's just a co-worker, all right? So, yeah, we gotta wait. So one side stops, but the other side doesn't. So we'll go. Thank you very much. Always wave, thank you. Yeah, he hurt himself playing volleyball or something like that, and thank you. And so he wasn't able to go, so we kind of missed him. But the three of us went, and yeah, we had to leave early in the morning. I mean, I wasn't able to fall asleep until maybe about 12:30. I kept thinking about, did I bring this, did I bring that, and then kept getting up and moving stuff to the pile of stuff we needed to bring. So by the time I went to bed, we got up early. I think I was up by about 3:30 or so, something like that. We preloaded the car up a little bit. We put the bikes on the car, put it in the car. So all we had to do was just put in the batteries. We left that in the house until time to put it in the car. You know, garages sometimes can get kind of warm. So we just loaded that up and then we left. So we left at about 5 after 5, something like that. And by the time we got to downtown, we said, oh, we got a lot of time, but we couldn't find the entrance to the Millennium Park garage. They had already closed off a lot of the streets, so you couldn't even get to it. So we were wasting time trying to get into the parking lot, or parking structure. It's underground parking, essentially. By the way, I said that we started at Millennium Park. No, it was actually Grant Park, I believe, is where we started. It's called the Millennium Drive parking structures, parking lot or something like that. So Millennium Park was stuck in my brain, and that's what I was essentially thinking. Doesn't matter. Either way, it's the middle point of the ride. So anyway, by the time we figured it out, and we talked to some police officers, we were actually right there. She says, "Oh, it's right around the corner here." I says, "Can we squeeze through to get it?" And they said, "Sure." So we squeezed through and went in, and so that took forever to get that thing settled, and then getting the bikes off the rack and everything. I decided to leave the rack on the car. There were so many bike racks on cars in that parking thing. I says, there's plenty for them to choose from. If they wanted to steal a rack, they could steal anything they want. So I said, I'm not sticking it in the vehicle. I was going to take it off and stick it inside the SUV just to safeguard it. But yeah, what was the point when there were so many bike racks on other cars? So by the time we got to the starting point, we were there by 6:28. Start of the race was 6:30. But really, 6:30 they just had some announcement things and welcome type things. So that took about 10 minutes. So the race, I keep calling it a race. It's not a race. It's just a ride. The ride really didn't start until about 6:40. Now I don't know whether the other area started as well. You didn't have to start there. You could start anywhere that's assigned to do. So you could have started at the Museum of Science and Industry and just rode the entire thing all the way down and all the way back. Or you could start in the middle point where we did, or you can start on the far end of the north side and ride all the way down and all the way back. So we did the middle. That's the more traditional, and that's where all the news crews and everything were at. So apparently, as we were riding at the beginning, we must have passed we passed the ABC News guys. That's Channel 7 for Chicago. And he was doing his report, and you can see us riding in the background. So Marilyn B sent me a message saying that, hey, you guys were on TV. Well, I'm always on TV. I'm on your YouTube TV. But yeah, she happened to recognize it. I guess she probably saw me because I'm very distinctive. I've got the yellow bike. I've got the orange vest. In fact, today I'm wearing the orange vest. I'm on the white bike, but I'm wearing the orange vest right now. So she saw me, so she kind of figured out, well, it must be the two people in front, must be Mrs. Wright and daughter Wright. And she was correct. Yeah, so she sent it to me, so I was able to put it in the video. Thank you so much to her for pointing it out and for allowing me to be able to put that on. So maybe if you haven't seen that, when you watch the original video about the bike to drive, I have a link to that ABC News report, and you'll see us at the tail end of the report. Yeah, so go see that, and you'll see me ride right past you. In fact, it's kind of funny. There was a guy on a one wheel, which I don't think they were supposed to allow, because I think they said they would only allow bikes, not one wheels and stuff. But he was on there. His riding coincided with it looking like he was standing on top of my basket. Yeah, go take a look at it. It's actually kind of funny. It looks like he's standing on top of my basket of my bike because he's in the background behind me. So the bike ride was very good. It started out with a lot of people, of course, and of course you don't go too fast because you're all bunched up, but eventually it starts to spread out, guys who are going fast speed up and they're out of there. Other guys are going slower. So eventually it spreads out. Now, it was noted in our comments of that video that it seemed like the people who wear spandex, we call them the spandex group, right? Standard bike riders, not e-bike riders, seem to go a lot faster than us. That's true. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt they're doing 20 plus miles an hour. We were already doing like 14 or 15, so imagine how fast they were going. But as a group, I would say they were the more dangerous people to ride with. Yeah, so when they complain about e-bikes, right? I don't think so, guys. I think those guys are more dangerous than us. Yeah, I mean, people yelling out, "Hey, on your left," and all that, all that stuff, to make sure that we weren't going to run into them. Well, hey, when you're speeding past us that fast, you have some responsibility too. It's not just the guy that's on the other lane. So yeah, I would have to say that for complaining, they have nothing to complain about. They are actually sometimes more dangerous than e-bikes sometimes can be, and they definitely went faster than us. Now, to be fair, I did note some e-bike riders that were on there were a little bit dangerous as well. They could have been a little bit safer, I think, but they weren't. So yeah, everybody does their own thing, but yeah, still got to be careful. All right, should we do the forest preserves too? I guess we should. Maybe what we should do is take a left over here. We'll take the left turn. We're gonna take the street. Now, we don't normally take this street, but since since I can't get to the forest preserve the other way, we'll get to it this way. Now, this is a 40-mile-an-hour zone, but there's very few cars on here right now. I don't have my cell phone up there because I don't even have my cell phone mounted on this bike. It's in my pocket right now. But I'm doing 27, 28 miles an hour anyway, so it's fine. Now, when you're hitting it this hard, you're going to eat up battery, but I don't plan to be that long on the bike today. But I'm watching the percentage meter dropping as I'm hitting it hard. There is no cruise control on this particular cruiser because it is one of the older series cruisers. All right, how should I do this? I think I'll go up the sidewalk here. And then I'll take the sidewalk across, and then that'll be safer for me. When I first started riding, this is basically what I ended up doing. I would come down this way and take the street here. This is a tough turn here. I'm gonna have to stop. They don't give you much space here before you have to make a fast turn. There's too many curbs up here. I always wondered why they designed it that way. I'll hit the button, and then I could cross easy. So yeah, everyone went their own pace. We probably averaged 14, 15 miles an hour in that range. We went faster than we thought we would, but everyone else was going pretty quick, so we just kind of kept up with traffic. We did pass a number of people, of course. Some people are really slow, but so I asked my daughter how she felt about it, and she says, yeah, we went pretty quick. She's not an experienced e-bike rider. I mean, she hasn't really ridden a bike that much her entire life either. So yeah, she adapted to it very well and very quickly. I did make her ride the bike the day before. I says, you have to kind of at least try out the e-bike and make sure you can ride well and stop well. So I kind of forced her to come the day before and try it out. But yeah, she did okay. Yeah. So, all right, we'll go left. We'll go the same direction we usually go. All right, let's go through here. So anyway, she said she thought that it was a good ride. She said she wouldn't mind doing it again. I don't know if we'll do it again or not. It is expensive. I think she said it was something like $67 or something. I don't know, something like that. Times 3 people. So figure how much that is, and then parking. They had a discounted parking, but we didn't prepay it, so we ended up paying, I don't know, we paid like $36 or $37 for parking. It was an expensive event to do. So I don't know if we'll do it again or not. But, I mean, I liked it. I just don't like how expensive it is. But, I mean, really, 30 miles, if I were to ride from my home to Bussy Woods, ride around Bussy Woods, ride all the way back home, I think it's like 28 miles, something like that, 28, 30 miles. So it's really about the same amount of mileage. We rode 32 miles, you know, because you have some odds and end riding to do to get around. But, you know, they claim it's 30 miles, but after checking the odometer and calculating it out, it came out to about 32 miles. Yeah. So, yeah, I wasn't hurting because I'm used to it, and I wasn't pedaling that much either. I mean, I think if I pedaled 25%, that would be about it. That's about all I pedaled. Oh, here's a one wheel right here. Good morning. Good, how are you? So, yeah, I think maybe I did about 25%. I didn't pedal that much, but I did enough because I could have done that entire ride without changing out the battery, I think. Yeah. But I decided to change it out. There's no reason to wear the battery out, you know, just to do it. Why should I? I had 3 batteries with me total, 2 in the back and 1 that was running. So I figured the best thing was just change it out while we were already taking a break when we hit Museum of Science and Industry. I figured might as well get a fresh battery on there, and then I don't have to worry about anything. But I think for Mrs. Wright and Daughter Wright, they don't even need a second battery. Daughter Wright's battery thing was down to 3 bars out of 5. Mrs. Wright was down to 4 bars out of 5. So, I mean, they pedaled pretty much most of it, and so Daughter Wright tended to throttle more than Mrs. Wright. Mrs. Wright doesn't throttle at all. She only throttles to get started. That's it. And then she pedals the entire way, and she told me that she was on pedal assist level 2. Daughter Wright was also on level 2, I believe. I was on level 3 on my bike, but I had already changed my bike to a 9-level system. So in general, I don't think they need to bring an extra battery. Mrs. Wright carried both of those batteries on the back of her rear rack. Since Daughter Wright wasn't as used to the bikes, I figured let's make it a little lighter for her. But that, of course, made it heavier for Mrs. Wright. And since she was pedaling, she had more effort. I could probably make it in one battery if I pedaled a little bit more, but I figured, why should I? we brought the second batteries, I should say. I brought 2 additional batteries because the talk was if we went a little faster than others, maybe we would be able to do another half of a ride back. But I think after riding for so long, you know, all of us just kind of felt that, nah, I think we've ridden enough. So we did the same amount of ride as everybody else. I think if we were doing 18 miles an hour, we would probably have enough time to do it with no problem. But we didn't. We stayed under 15 most of the way. So what did I get to talk to out there? I talked to a couple people. I talked to a guy who rode the RAGBRAI event. I asked him how the weather was out there. He said it was like 110 degrees or something. 110 or 113, something like that. I mean, that's ridiculous. The heat index and stuff, you know, bringing that high. And yeah, they were really suffering through it. I think he only did 2 or 3 days. He didn't do the entire ride, he said. But man, that's hot. But I saw several people with the RAGBRAI shirts on. I don't know if as much as I would love to do that, I don't know if I could handle that. That's just too hot. I mean, even one day of it would be tough. But can you imagine doing that for the whole week? That's just too much. I mean, you get a heat stroke. Oh, speaking of stuff like that, let me talk about the person we saw that had the ambulance thing. If you watch that video, I think it's around the 36-minute mark of the video, something like that. You'll see an ambulance, and I did have footage with my 360 camera of them doing chest compressions on him, because as I passed by it, the 360 camera, of course, catches it. I didn't want to show that. I didn't want to show it. The evidence tech in me was saying, show it. But I didn't think it was right to show it. I mean, if it was evidence for a crime or something like that, I'd show it. But the poor guy had probably a heart attack. I don't know if he survived or he didn't. I have no clue. And but yeah, I didn't think it was right. I mean, when I was photographing weddings, to give you an example, I photographed a lot of weddings as part of my work as a professional photographer. And I remember once there was the father of the bride who was so drunk he went back out on the dance floor, slipped, and fell backwards on his head. I heard his head pop on the dance floor. It was that loud over all the music. Think about that, how loud a DJ music is. I had my camera. I opted not to shoot it. Nobody wants to see that photo. I actually told the bride, I says, I think you need to bring him to the hospital. They didn't do it. I mean, he could have had internal brain hemorrhaging. How does she know he's okay? All right, hold on for a second. Yeah, that was loud. I think it was a tree cutting service there. So yeah, I saw them doing the chest compressions. I said, this is not good. I'm guessing heart attack. I didn't see any news report about that, but you know, like they say on events like this, there's always somebody who either gets hurt or something as serious as what happened to that gentleman that was getting the chest compressions done. But yeah, it was on my mind as I was talking through that section of it. All I kept thinking was the poor guy. You know, I mean, you do an event like this, you know, to have some fun, and that happens. I think people need to realize that events like that require a certain amount of physical ability. I mentioned that, you know, had he had an e-bike, probably wouldn't have had as much problems with it. I thought about that comment too. I said maybe that wasn't appropriate to say, but I'm just saying that, you know, that the e-bike helps you going up hills and stuff. If he didn't have one, which I didn't look like he did, he had a regular bike, you're going to be pumping hard getting up over hills and things. And there's a number of inclines that require you to pedal a little bit harder. I mean, I could even see Mrs. Wright was pedaling harder in certain areas. I mean, she wants to get the exercise out of it, so she pedals it all the way through, but I mean, she's in pretty good condition. But you know, I don't know what this guy's age was, but you know, if you have some potential heart condition, you probably should not be doing an event like this. I mean, imagine the things with RAGBRAI too. You know, you can get heat stroke. You can, you know, and then those guys are definitely going up and down hills out there. So I think everyone needs to realize that if you do events like that, you need to be aware that those things are potential hazards. Now, for me, when I first started riding my bike, I still had problems with my knee. My leg was not strong enough. I went down several times because When I stopped, my bike leaned to the side of my weakened leg, and I couldn't hold myself up. I had too weak of a leg and knee to be able to keep standing up. That's why I went down. It had nothing to do with my ability or inability to ride a bike. It had total issue based on the fact I had no ability to stand up with the amount of weight that the bike is. And this was my Rad Rover 5. Interestingly enough, though, no damage to any of the bikes every time I've gone down. Yeah, absolutely zero damage. It's kind of amazing that the bikes don't really get damaged up that much. I think what happens if anything were to happen to a bike, your handlebar and at the end of the handlebar would take some of the blow, and then maybe a rear rack might take a little bit of damage, or a front basket might take a little bit of damage, but yeah, nothing on the frame ever gets damaged. You get damaged. Yeah, you get scratched up, and but falling on the side where my knee had the surgery done was not a good thing. I had to crawl on my hands and knees to get out from underneath the bike, and so that wasn't fun. On concrete, I was on the street actually when I fell. Nobody helps you, of course. They all just kind of look at you. Nobody wants to get involved. So anyway, that's kind of the history of how all this stuff came about. I was just lucky enough that Magicycle noticed me and asked me if I would be interested in reviewing their bike. And I had heard about the Magicycle before, and so I said yes to it. And then they sent me this bike here. Oh, I never did show you the bike. All right, we'll find a good spot. I'll pull over and I'll show you what the bike looks like. Let's go further up. So yeah, we're down to 61%. I had 100% on this battery when we started. We're down in percentage because I've been throttling hard on this bike. There's not that many people out here today. This is the day after Labor Day. So what is today? Today is Tuesday. You'll see this video out on Wednesday. Again, like I said, this is the 1000th video. So I felt it was appropriate to come back out to where it all started. I mean, technically I should be taking the Rad Rover 5, but I sold that bike off. So the next best thing is our next bike, which is the first review bike, right? Yeah, I felt that it was appropriate to do that. All right, I think we can do it here. There's not that many people out here right now. Well, let's see. I think the one-wheel guy is still running around here. Do we see him anywhere? Maybe not. Okay, let's pull off here. I'm going to show you real quickly what the bike looks like. Now, for me to exit off the bike, I tilt it as I do it. Let's put the kickstand down. Too much of an angle. We'll have to stay up here and do it. I was going to get off the trail, but there's nobody here. So there you go. That's what the bike looks like. Yeah, so we got the bigger battery. Yeah, my water bottle is just strapped to the straps in the back there. In fact, I'm going to grab that water bottle. Kind of thirsty now. I'm talking too much. You can see all the dripping of the water. Maybe I should face it this way. Whatever. Yeah, so anyway, here's the scratch plate. It goes underneath here. It protects the controller and the cables underneath. Yeah, the 52 volt battery. Here's the Giddy Up saddle. In fact, it's got a battery thing here so you can get this to blink. See that? I haven't turned it on. I'll turn it off. Conserve the battery. All right, so when I get up on this bike, I tilt the bike down and then I swing my leg over. And then to start, I throttle it to get the bike moving. And then you can start pedaling at that point if you wanted to. So there you have it. That's the history of what's been going on with this channel. But yeah, I definitely appreciate everybody on the channel. We are now at about, as of this recording, 16,200 something subscribers. I would have never thought we had gotten that far. I always thought that, what do I have to offer? Is there anything that I could do that's interesting enough for people to watch on YouTube? So I just kind of talked about whatever, and then the knee replacement happened, so I started talking about that for 2 years. And we hit about 1,000 something subscribers for the knee replacement, and that's when things started to happen. And that took a couple years. But really, I think it was the one video, which I affectionately call our senior video, where I talked about, you want to buy an e-bike, and you're a senior or something like that. I don't even remember the name of it. And that video has been seen over 1 million times. And I was like, wow, what was about that video that really got people interested in about it? I mean, I just talked about some of the things that I thought senior people should think about before considering buying an e-bike. I talked about things that scared people off. I mean, I scared off a number of people from buying e-bikes. Yeah, I laugh. Oh, and sometimes people don't like me laughing, but no, I always chuckle at everything. But no, I kind of felt that, if I scared them off, that's good. That's good, because really, you need to be aware that things could happen. You could fall. And if that's a concern for you, then yeah, maybe you should not consider buying the bike. But if you're a good rider, you probably won't fall. Yeah. Or if you have strong legs, strong knees, and then you can handle a heavier bike, yeah, you should be fine. Some people said, okay, I'm glad you pointed that stuff out to us. I never thought about that. And yet they continued off and bought a bike anyway, right? So it helped some people. Some people, it scared them away, but it did what I wanted it to do. I wanted people to be aware that things can happen, and that you should be aware that it could happen. That's all. Oh, look at all the geese here. There's a lot of geese. Yeah, the geese make a mess most of the time. And those are the Canadian geese. They call them Canadian geese because they originally came from Canada. These geese, of course, have been born here. But some geese originally came from Canada. Oh, man. I'll take you to the entrance, then we'll call it a day. Edit this video, get it out there for you for Wednesday morning. Yeah, the bike to drive video took a while to edit, not that much. I didn't show too much of the 360 stuff because, sometimes the 360 has like artifacts, because it records 360 degrees, up, down, sideways, everywhere. But it creates this little artifact and it kind of has a fuzziness to it, and I didn't like the look of it. So I only showed sections where I thought it would be appropriate to show some. I only did it like 2 or 3 times at most. And I said, forget it. It's just too much effort looking for a good looking section. I think what that camera's good for is that for me to do a selfie stick on it so you can see me riding the bike, which is what I usually will try to do going forward for bike reviews, just so you can see what the bike looks like while I'm riding it. But that's about all I'm going to use it for. Editing is way too long using the 360, searching for stuff. It's a huge files and everything. Just wasn't worth it. So I said, nah, forget it. Not worth it. I almost rather get a second GoPro and put that on the top of my helmet and face it backwards so I can show you the backward view of something like that type of event. But nah. So people have asked me, you know, why don't you do the drone and everything? Yeah, it's a lot of effort. Russ is right, but Russ is lazy too, right? I figure that's a lot of effort, and then you know, you always have the potential, the people saying that, well, you know, there's did you get a commercial license for it and everything? I mean, if you're a YouTuber and you make money on YouTube, which I do, technically it's commercial use. So technically you kind of need a commercial pilot's license for that drone. That's happened to a couple YouTubers, by the way, where they've told them that they have to, you know, get the actual pilot's license for that. Too much effort. My videos aren't that sophisticated. I just like to take my rides and take you along with me. So yeah, like I said, it's more about the talk than it is about the ride sometimes. But I try my best. I try my best to make sure that the videos at least look good. I think the GoPro does a good job at keeping it stable enough, and then having also a good look to the video, so it's not looking really bad. I do use an ultra wide view, so sometimes when we come up to certain things like telephone poles, it looks like they're bent. but the extra wide view lets you see more of what I see, and so that's why I do it that way. All right, let's get up here. So anyway, I appreciate everybody watching. Let me hit this button again, and sticking with me and getting to me to the 1,000th video and getting over 16,000 subscribers and everything. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. We're gonna try to expand ourselves out, go even further. Thanks again to everyone. I'll talk to you guys next time.